Any version 4.1.4 is now available. Downloading upgrade. Starting upgrade. You are pledged to Li Yongrui. You have served for 28.4 weeks and are at rank 1 with around 3,500 accumulated merits. You are docked at Coriolis Starport, Lekki City, in the Aquagi system. Phoenix Flight Explorers Commune is the dominant faction. Exploration data for 2 systems sold for over 14,500 credits. Course laid in.
Appropriate
Docking clamps free.
Detachment complete. Exit station quickly and
Destination confirmed. Your Cobra Mark V is traveling to the Okhureng system. Okhureng is a poorly secured independent democracy with a population of just over 590 million souls. Moro Independence is the controlling faction. There are 7 orbital stations and 35 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Telemetry obtained. Your Cobra Mark V is heading to the Cepi sector Quebec Delta-Tango Bravo Tree-2 system. Cepi sector Quebec Delta-Tango Bravo Tree-2 is a poorly policed independent cooperative home to over 570,000 people. The Vivarian Protectorate is the dominant faction. There are 2 orbital stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Brown dwarf Charlie is notable, relative to similar class Lima brown dwarfs, with lower than average density. Levels at 95%, Commander. Destination confirmed. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Call 285 Sector Delta Mike-Lima Charlie 8-19er system. Call 285 Sector Delta Mike-Lima Charlie 8-19er is a poorly policed independent dictatorship with a population of around 52,500 souls. The Merry Band of Awesome is the dominant faction. There is 1 orbital station in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Star Alpha is notable with an unusually old age of nearly 13 billion years and lower than average density. As you can see, it emits a yellow-white light. Brown dwarf Charlie is notable, relative to similar class Lima brown dwarfs, with lower than average density. Fuel at maximum.
John Digweed in the mix.
Listen to something new there from Satoshi Fumi. That's Sublime. Next up,
Jump in
Smash
progress.
TV.
Your
and the
Cobra
Electric.
Mark V is heading to the Golf 2 Tree 2-62 system. You have entered Federation space. Golf 2 Tree 2-62 is a poorly secured federal corporatist society supporting over 100,000 souls. Bravo Delta plus 52 Treefaller 10 Partners is the dominant faction. There are 2 orbital stations and 11 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Compromised NAV beacon detected. Destination confirmed. Your Cobra Mark V is en route to the Lima Foxtrot Tango 17 Vol 8 system. Lima Foxtrot Tango 17 Vol 8 is a highly policed federal democracy with a population of over 54 million souls. Blood Brothers from Al Ray is the controlling faction. There are 5 orbital stations and 30 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Destination confirmed. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Lima Hotel Sierra 71 system. Lima Hotel Sierra 71 is a well-regulated federal confederacy with a population of over 22.5 million souls. Elite Rebel Force is the dominant faction. There are 3 orbital stations and 43 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Maximum fuel. Jump in progress. Your Cobra Mark V is en route to the Kokiri system. You are no longer in Federation space. You are now in independent space. Welcome back, Commander. Kokiri is a highly policed independent cooperative of nearly 64.5 million souls. Hutton Orbital Truckers Cooperative is the controlling faction. There are 3 orbital stations and 18 planetary stations in this system. This is your first visit to the system. Fuel tanks at 81%. Jump in progress. Your Cobra Mark V is traveling to the Pupai Sector Delta Lima-Yankee Delta 1 Follower 2 system. You have entered Federation space. Pupai Sector Delta Lima-Yankee Delta 1 Follower 2 is a poorly policed federal democracy of well over 48,000 souls. Union of Ditibi Revolutionary Party is the dominant faction. There is a single orbital station in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Fuel reserves at 63%.
John Dickweed.
Reserves at 85%. Telemetry obtained. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Laifanji system. Laifanji is a well-regulated federal confederacy home to well over 5 billion souls. Falcon's Nest is the controlling faction. There are 5 orbital stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Fuel reserves now at 66% capacity. Telemetry obtained. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Athena system. Athena is a well-regulated federal corporatist society with a population of well over 50 million souls. Ice Storm Squadron is the controlling faction. There are 5 orbital stations and 64 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Fuel levels are now at 57%. Unregistered comms beacon detected. Destination confirmed. Your Cobra Mark V is heading to the Helgerdu system. Helgerdu is a federal corporatist society home to around 13.5 million people. You are allied with the controlling faction, Ice Storm Squadron. There are 3 orbital stations and 26 planetary stations in the system. This is your second visit to the system. Fuel reserves are now at 47% capacity. Fuel reserves are now at 47%, Lieutenant. Dropping at Galiano Terminal. Left Supercruise in the vicinity of Coriolis Starport, Galiano Terminal. Auto dock ready.
Tango Sierra. The Federation welcomes you, Commander. We'd be happy to serve you at this port. Authorization cleared. Make your way to landing pad number 19er.
Docking complete. Your Cobra Mark V is now at 100% fuel capacity.
Station facilities are at your disposal.
I strongly advise you against this.
Exploration data for 4 systems sold for over 34,500 credits. Bounty vouchers for just over 90,000 credits claimed. Assassination mission for Ice Storm Squadron accepted.
John Digweed.
Assassination mission accepted for Ice Storm Squadron. have returned a loaned 1 Echo Super Cruise assist. You have purchased a Zero Foxtrot electronic countermeasure for 12.5 thousand credits.
Been listening to Mitagami, Sun, following that Marcus Hom, Brad Brummer, AJ Swifty, and that's the big con. Ammo Avenue, vice versa. This is Max Chapman's 1990 mix.
Purchased a 2 Echo turreted cannon for 4 million credits, and stored a 1 Foxtrot turreted cannon. Course laid in. Docking clamps free.
Clear of the landing pad. Observe queuing system when exiting the station.
jump to Super Cruise. In progress. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Nunkar system. You are entering Empire space. Welcome back, Commander. Nunkar is an imperial patronage supporting over 2.5 million souls. Beta Volantis Imperial Society is the controlling faction. There are 3 orbital stations and 29 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Fuel reserves at 98%. Information. You have one pending mission here at the Coriolis Starport, White's Vision. What do you bring before the Pirate Lord? John Tappan is fair game. Alert. Interdiction by John Tappan. Your Cobra Mark V has left Super Cruise close to Star Nunkar. Warning, attack by pirate detected. Response flight deployed. Bounty voucher awarded. Assassination mission completed. Redirected to mission origin. Scan finished. Be about your business. Telemetry obtained. Your Cobra Mark V is in transit to the Camerata system. You are now in Federation space. Camerata is a poorly secured federal corporatist society with a population of just over 65,000 souls. Ice Storm Squadron is the dominant faction. There are 2 orbital stations and 16 planetary stations in the system. This is your first visit to the system. Information. You have 1 pending mission here at Cradle Refinery. You have earned a reward of over 350,000 credits for local hunting services rendered. threat mission target signal source. Your Cobra Mark V has returned to normal space near Star Camarada.
Would you kindly do something about these villainous pirates? Please.
John D is fair game.
Mayday. Mayday. I'm under attack. They've knocked out my engines and I'm leaking fuel. Mayday.
Warning, attack by pirate detected.
You are nothing but dust to me. Is there anyone out there? I need help. Taking heavy damage in pirate attack. Please help.
Warning, attack by pirate detected.
You are nothing but dust to me. Calling all commanders. I'm being ambushed. Can anyone provide assistance? Help me, please. Mayday. Taking heavy damage, lost engines, venting fuel, and oxygen. Mayday. I hadn't expected this. Mayday. Can anyone read me? I repeat, Mayday. Is there anyone out there? I need help. Taken heavy damage in pirate attack. Please help.
Bounty voucher awarded. Assassination mission completed. Redirected to mission origin.